Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Begakar Ahmed and welcome to today's video. Today I want to be going ahead and talking about the infallibility of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see if the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is looked at as infallible or not infallible according to the Shia, according to the Sunni Muslims. I was watching a long video by Sayyid Ammar. For those who don't know who Sayyid Ammar is, he is a Shia lecturer and public speaker. He is very, very famous on the internet and around the whole entire Shia community. I will always say to you guys, it doesn't matter who you listen to, you need to go ahead and fact check everything that you listen to. This is what I do with everything. Even though Sayyid Ammar, I really do enjoy his public speaking, there are times that I have fact checked him and he was wrong. There is times that I have fact checked him and he is absolutely right. And this is one of those times where I have been left with a very, very gaping and opening question mark here, right? And everything that he said, and I went into the sourcing, was 100% true. And I'm here to open discussion with my Sunni brothers and sisters, my Shia brothers and sisters, and go ahead and see what you guys feel about these hadith, what you guys feel about this perspective. As a Shia Muslim, I believe that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is 100% infallible. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a divine laid out plan and blueprint for his prophets, especially the final prophet of mankind, Habibullah, Rasulullah, right? These titles that he has received. And I do not believe that he is affected by a lot of the things that we're going to go ahead and see here today. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into the sourcing and figure this out. So the first thing I want to go ahead and ask, is the Prophet Muhammad infallible in Sunni Islam? The infallibility of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is a matter of differing opinions among Sunni scholars. While some believe he is infallible in all that conveys from Allah, others argue that he is infallible only in delivering the message and can commit mistakes in worldly matters. So obviously we see that there's a differing opinion within Sunni Islam, within the Sunni scholar community, and this would be because the hadith would obviously appoint otherwise. It would appoint that the Prophet Muhammad is not infallible. It would show times that he is slipping up. It would show times he is affected by shaitan. It would show times of these different things, and this is why there is a differing opinion. So then we go ahead and ask, is the Prophet Muhammad, in peace and blessings be upon him, infallible in Shia Islam? And it says in Shia theology, Prophet Muhammad is considered infallible, meaning he was never affected by magic, forgetfulness, or lapses. And as a Shia Muslim, this is what I believe my whole entire life. This is what I've been taught my whole entire life. And I'm pretty sure you as a Sunni Muslim have been taught pretty much the same exact thing. If a Christian or a Jew comes up to you and goes, hey, is your prophet infallible? Did he make mistakes? Is he sinful? You're going to go ahead and say, no, my Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he is pure. He's one of the greatest prophets of mankind. He is infallible. Khalas, right? But within the scholarly headship of Sunni Islam, there is a big disagreement on this. Within the most Sahih Hadith, which is Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, right? You see that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is clearly not infallible. Like, he's clearly affected by shaitan. He is clearly attacked by shaitan. His heart has black spots on it. He is bewitched by magic, and many different things that we're going to go ahead and look at today. Now, I am doing this to open discussion. I'm not doing this to go ahead and prove what sect is right, what sect is wrong. I do not care about sex. Wallahi, I do not care about sex. I identify as Shia Muslim because I am the follower of the Prophet Muhammad and his Sunnah through his Ahlul Bayt. Do you understand? The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, told us before he passed away, I have the angel of death has come to me and I have to tell you guys something. Keep close to you the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and my Ahlul Bayt, so you never go astray. So these are the things that I do, right? Now, I do understand that the world today is very, very deceptive. There are too many lies. There are too many things going on, and this is why it is very important to jump into the sourcing. This is why it is very important to always use the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to confirm everything. This is our base to literally everything that we have on the whole entire planet that we have today. If a hadith contradicts it, it's garbage. I don't care how sahih it is. I don't care if it came from the most important person beside the Prophet's life. If it contradicts who the Prophet is, if it contradicts the Holy Quran, it's garbage, okay? At the end of the day. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this. I want to go ahead and take a look first at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Iblis in the Holy Quran, okay? Let me go ahead and turn my webcam on. And it says, 1533, he replied, "It is not for me to prostrate to a human you created from sounding clay molded by black mud." So what is happening right here? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells all of the angels to bow. Iblis does not bow. Obviously, Iblis is a jinn, not an angel. But he does not bow to Adam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes ahead and asks him why. And he says, "I will not prostrate to a human you created from clay and black mud. I'm better than him," right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded, "Then get out of paradise, for you are truly cursed. And surely upon you is the condemnation until judgment day." Satan appealed, "My Lord, then delay me until the day of the resurrection." And Allah said, "You will be delayed until the appointed day." Satan responded, "My Lord, for allowing me to stray, I will surely tempt them on earth and mislead them all together, except your chosen servants among them." And Allah said, "This is the way binding on me." So Satan makes a covenant with God when he is banished from paradise, and God Almighty allows this to go ahead and happen, and he goes ahead and says, "Except your chosen servants among them."
منهم إلا عبادك منهم المخلصين.
So this is very important. As a Sunni, as a Shia, we both believe that these individuals are protected from the shaitan. The shaitan cannot affect them. Now, let's go ahead and jump into our first area of the hadith. And what I want to go ahead and take a look at here is Sahih al-Bukhari 3286. And thus is the beginning of creation. And this goes ahead and states, it was narrated by Abu Huraira, and it says, "The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, when any human being is born, Satan touches him at both sides of his body with his two fingers, except Jesus, or Nabi Isa, alayhi salam, the son of Mary, peace and blessings be upon her, whom Satan tried to touch but failed, for he had touched the placenta cover instead." Now, this is interesting because what is happening here is, and if you go ahead and watch many different videos on this exact hadith from Sunni scholars and sheikhs, they will go ahead and agree that they don't know if the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was touched or not touched by Satan according to this verse. The only person that is excluded by being touched by Satan is Nabi Isa, or Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him. He's the only prophet that we can prove through our hadith that has never been touched by the shaitan. And I find this very, very interesting because this is like a very Christian perspective here, right? Every single time I hear anything about the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he's the greatest, he's above everything, he's above everyone, he's the seal of prophets. And then like we come here and shaitan can touch every other prophet except Jesus. It's almost like Jesus is the savior here in Bukhari almost, right? The Quran does not specify this. The Quran does not talk about this. So this is very interesting, and I just wanted to go ahead and analyze this and take a look at this, right? Now, the next thing I want to go ahead and take a look at is the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Actually, this is something that actually like really threw me off. This is something that I really don't know how to take, and it really hurt my head when I listened to this. And I don't want to be disrespectful in any type of way, but like this is actually insane. Okay, from the Shia perspective, we don't believe any of this. We don't believe our Prophet can be affected in these type of ways. And I'll have a couple questions at the end, but right here, it goes ahead and talks about, and Sahih Muslim, okay, 162, A, B, C, and D, right? It's a continuation. And it says, "The angels came to me and took me to the Zamzam, and my heart was opened and washed with the water of Zamzam, and then I was left at my place." Okay? If you continue, it says, "That was the part of Satan in thee. And then he washed it with water of Zamzam in the golden basin. It was joined together and restored to the place. The boys came running to his mother, i.e. his nurse, and said, 'Verily, Muhammad has been murdered.' And they all rushed towards him and found him all right. The color was changed." And he said, "I myself saw the marks of the needle on his breast." Okay? So what ended up happening? The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was 4 years old. And he was playing outside with the other kids. And two angels came to him, ripped open his chest, took out his heart, removed the black spots from his heart using Zamzam water, stitched his chest back together, put his heart back in, stitched his chest back together. The boys ran to their watcher, or the person that takes care of them, and said, "Muhammad's dead, he's been murdered, he got killed, his chest got ripped open." The Prophet Muhammad came back, Magically, he was a different color. His chest was stitched up. And this is the story, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and let a Sunni brother go ahead and explain this, right? And this is going to be more in depth, right? So he's going to explain the whole story, the whole entire explanation of the hadith, and all of the details before and after it, because I'm not going to be able to do this as good as him. And I don't want to go ahead and say anything or give a perspective that is biased, because this sounds completely crazy to me. Okay, guys? I believe my prophet does not need his chest ripped open to remove the black spots off of his chest. I believe that Satan has not touched my prophet or can touch my prophet, as the Holy Quran literally goes ahead and states specifically, except your chosen servants among them, meaning he cannot mislead them or touch them or whatever to them. They have a protective shield around them, correct? So I'm going to go ahead and listen to what he has to say here about this exact hadith. And yeah, let's go ahead and hear what he has to say.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he was 4 years old, in the house of Halima Sa'diyah, he used to take out the animals to graze them. He was sitting with his foster brother. Typically, the Prophet ﷺ would leave to graze the animals in the morning. He wouldn't take any food with him. He would be shy to ask for food or any provision. So this one time, he asked his foster brother, "Why don't you go to our mother, ask for some, lunch or something when we're out taking the animals? We would like to have something to give ourselves some energy." When the brother of the Prophet ﷺ leaves the Prophet ﷺ, something unique happens. This episode is something that changed the history of humanity and the future of this young man, this young child who is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet ﷺ narrates, all of a sudden he sees these two birds. They come towards him. They're angels, but they're in the size of two vultures, two massive birds that come towards the Prophet ﷺ. And they say, he hears them saying, "Ahuwa, ahuwa, is this the boy? Is this the boy?" And one of the angels reply, "That's the child, that's the child." And they grab me, فَأَخَذَانِ. They grab me and they put me onto the ground. And then, what did they do? They grab a knife and they split my chest open. And they take out my heart. And then they ask, one tells the other person, split his heart. Then his heart is split open. And then these two black, dark spots are taken out of the heart of the Prophet ﷺ and thrown away. This is all happening physically, not metaphorically. And then one angel says to the other angel, "Bring ice." And that cold ice was used to cleanse the heart of the Prophet ﷺ. Then cold water was used to cleanse the Prophet ﷺ even more. And then they take the heart and they split it into pieces. After cleansing the heart, they put the heart back together. And then they put the heart back in the chest of the Prophet. And one angel says to the other angel, "Fahushu," now stitch it. They stitched the chest of the Prophet back. And then one of the angels takes, you could say, a stamp, and stamps the chest of the Prophet where it said he was a prophet of Allah. It was a sign of him being the final prophet. It was put right on his chest, and there was also a mark in the back between.
Okay, so let me go ahead and analyze this, right? Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, prophet, final prophet of mankind. Jesus prophesizes him. All the other prophets before him prophesize him. He is the one, he's the seal of all prophets. His heart had to be ripped open to take the black spots out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot take the blackness out of his heart. Why is there blackness in my prophet's heart? How does the blackness get there at the age of 4 years old? And this is very, very, very contradictive to just even the whole entire concept of being born with sin. Who was my prophet born with sin? Satan touches you at birth and you're born with sin. This is the Paul of Christianity version. It's very, very hard for me to conceptualize this story. This sounds insane. ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls. Unfortunately, like, it sounds insane. I know many things sound insane, like, oh, he split the sea, and he walked on water, and like, he split the moon. No, these are miracles of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Taking a 4-year-old boy, pinning him to the ground, ripping his chest open, ripping his heart open, to take out a black spot, to shove his heart back in, and stitch his chest back together is pretty intense, don't you think? At the same time, why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala need to do this when He has chosen His messenger? Why did He not birth him purified? Why does He not purify him Himself? Why does He need to send angels to rip open and traumatize a child? This is a very, very, very interesting story. This is a very, very, very interesting hadith. And it continues to just make me think, like how? How is this even real? You guys know what I'm saying? Like, how do we start here, right? How do we start here with Shaitan telling us that I cannot touch your prophets, right? Except your chosen servants among them, I will not touch them. I will not bother them. And then it goes ahead and states here that the only person that has never been touched by Satan is Nabi Isa, alayhi salam, Jesus. Here, it specifically states that our Prophet Muhammad was touched by Satan and had black spots in his heart that needed to be surgically removed by angels at the age of 4 years old. Okay? Now, the final moment that I want to go ahead and talk about here, and this is going to be when the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, first received his revelation. Okay? And bear with me, I'm sorry if I do not read this in the most amazing English or fluently, because there is a lot of reading here, and sometimes I can stutter or I can mess up. So bear with me. Narrated by Aisha, the wife of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The commencement of the divine inspiration of Allah's messenger was in the form of a good, righteous, true dream in his sleep. He never had a dream, but it came true like the bright of day. He used to go in seclusion to the cave of Hira, where he used to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, consecutively for many days and nights. He used to take with him the journey of food for his stay, and then come back to his wife Khadija to take his food likewise again for another period to stay, till suddenly the truth descended upon him. While he was in the cave of Hira, the angel came to him and asked him to read. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I do not know how to read. The Prophet added, the angel caught me forcefully and pressed me so hard that I cannot bear it anymore. So this is the second time angels have come to my Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and pinned him and thrown him and forcefully pinned him to the ground. The first time ripping his chest open and ripping his heart open. This time, Angel Gabriel alayhi salam is just pinning him to the ground, okay? Then he released me again and asked me to read, and I replied, I do not know how to read. Thereupon he caught me again and pressed me a second time until I could not bear it anymore. SubhanAllah. So now the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is being abused by this angel. And I've seen Christians talk about this before and use this against Islam, and now I understand why, okay? He could not bear it anymore. Do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send a prophet, right? Or send an angel to pin a prophet to the ground to the point where they can't bear it anymore, or they're physically injured? Okay. Then he released me and asked me again to read. But again I replied, I do not know how to read. What shall I read? Thereupon he caught me for a third time and pressed me, and then released me and said, read in the name of your Lord, who has created all that exists. He's created man from a clot. Read, and your Lord is most generous, up to, and which he knew not. Then Allah's messenger returned to the inspiration, with the inspiration, his neck muscles twitching with terror, till he entered upon Khadija and said, cover me, cover me. They covered him until his fear was over, and then he said, O Khadija, what is wrong with me? Then he told her everything that happened, and he said, I fear that something may happen to me. Khadija said, never, but have the glad tidings, for that Allah will never disgrace you and keep you good reactions with your kith and kin. Speak the truth, help the poor in dispute, serve your guests generously, and assist them in deserving calamity afflicted ones. My bad. Khadija then accompanied him to her cousin Waraka bin Naful bin Asad bin Abdul Uzza bin Qusay. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right here and continue. I have a question. Our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is absolutely confused and scared from what just happened. So he goes to his wife, and his wife basically gives him glad tidings. Subhanallah, it seems that in this hadith, Khadija alayhi salam is the Prophet. Right? Peace and blessings be upon Khadija. But my Prophet is confused on what is happening. But Khadija knows what's happening. Khadija is clear. Khadija calms him down. This is an angel, and it's not making sense to me. Why is my Prophet consistently confused? Why is my Prophet touched by Satan? Why does my Prophet have black spots in his heart? Why do angels keep ripping his chest open and pinning him to the ground like wrestling matches? And why doesn't he know what's happening? And why does his wife Khadija know? This does not make sense. So let's continue. Waraka was the son of her paternal uncle. So Khadija takes the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to the son of her paternal uncle. Okay? Who during the pre-Islamic period became a Christian and used to write the Arabic writing and used to write of the Gospels in Arabic as much as Allah wished him to write. And he was an old man and he had lost his eyesight. Khadija said to him, "Oh my cousin, listen to the story of your nephew." Waraka said, "Oh my nephew, what have you seen?" The Prophet described whatever he had seen. Waraka said, "This is the same Namas, Jibreel, right, angel, who keeps the secrets whom Allah has sent to Moses. I wish I were young and could live up to the time where your people would turn when your people would turn you out." Allah's messenger said, "Will they turn me out?" Waraka replied in the affirmative and said, "Never did a man come with something similar to what you have brought and was treated with hostility. It should remain alive till the day when you will be turned out, then I would support you strongly." Okay? But after a few days, Waraka died, and the divine inspiration was also paused, while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, became sad, and we have heard that he intended several times to throw himself off the top of high mountains, and every time he went up to the top of the mountain in order to throw himself down, Gabriel would appear before him and say, "O Muhammad, you are indeed Allah's messenger and truthful in truth." Okay, 1 second before I continue the remaining of this, it's almost done. Firstly, my Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, doesn't know what's happening. The Prophet of God, blueprinted, the chosen, divinely chosen, doesn't know what's happening. The first time when he was 4 and his chest got ripped open and his heart was replaced, you would think he would remember this. And the next time an angel came to him and pinned him to the ground, he would know it's an angel. But unfortunately, no. Your chest being ripped open in open heart surgery is not enough to remember, how angels come and pin you to the ground. Then he goes to his wife. His wife has to clarify to the Prophet of God what's happening, because he cannot clarify himself what's happening. He's inefficient to do that himself. So much so, his wife Khadija takes him to her cousin, who is a Christian. So now Christians are going to tell our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, what's wrong with him. "No, Prophet, there's nothing wrong with you. That is the angel Gabriel." Okay? So now we have a Christian who writes the Injil, telling our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, not our Prophet telling them that it's Jibreel and to calm down. Okay? Now, when this Christian dies, the divine revelation gets paused. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes, unfortunately, this guy's gone. He cannot guide my Prophet anymore, so let's pause the revelation. Okay? So much so, our Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was so sad that he tried to commit suicide multiple times. And every time he'd go to the top of the mountain, Jibreel would remind him, "You're the messenger of God. Do not throw yourself off this mountain. We need you." Okay. Whereupon his heart would become quiet and he would calm down and he would return home. And whatever the period of the coming of inspiration used to become long, he would do as before. And when he used to reach the top of the mountain, Jibreel would appear before him and say to him what he had said before. So every single time the Prophet became depressed because he didn't get revelation for a short period of time, for a longer period of time, or the angel didn't come to him for a period of time, he would get depressed, go to the top of a mountain to kill himself. This is the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and Sahih al-Bukhari. Astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. I do not believe this. I do not believe, one, that my Prophet has black spots on his heart, where angels has to rip his heart apart at the age of 4, rip his chest open at the age of 4 to remove them. Secondly, why is my Prophet confused after he had open heart surgery at 4 when an angel comes to him and wrestles with him later on in his life? Thirdly, why does he need his wife to clarify for him? Fourthly, why does he need his wife's cousin, a Christian, to clarify for him who this angel is and what is happening? And fourthly, why is our Prophet suicidal when he doesn't receive a message from God, where he continuously tries, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but multiple times, to throw himself off the top of a mountain? The final thing I want to go ahead and look at is this right here. It is also narrated by Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. It says Sahih al-Bukhari 3175, and this says, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was bewitched, so that he began to imagine that he had done a thing which is in fact, which in fact he had done not. Okay? So my Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was bewitched. He was affected by black magic, and it made him do something that he wasn't supposed to do, or he didn't actually do, right? He was taken control of by bewitched magic, okay? And this is actually, like, some of these things that I be reading here, they leave me with a lot of confusion. They leave me with a lot of doubt, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know how to handle this. And this is why I'm making this video. This is why I want to engage with my Sunni brothers and sisters and my Shia brothers and sisters. And I want to go ahead and challenge these hadith. And I want to go ahead and challenge Bukhari and Muslim. Yes, I do. And I do find it very, very, very interesting that the Sunni Muslims do not believe what the Shia Muslims believe. It's not just about imami. It's not just about the imams, guys. It's nothing to do with the imams. In Shia theology, Prophet Muhammad is considered infallible. He can never be affected by magic, forgetfulness, or lapses. Where in the Sunni literature, he can be affected by all of this. And this is a debate that they have amongst each other, right? This is something that I very, very, very much do not understand. This is something that I needed to open discussion about. If you guys want to watch the whole entire video Sayyid Ammar has put together, you're more than welcome to do so and look up these sources yourself. But it's very hard for me to believe that my Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, Rasulullah, Habiballah, one of the greatest messengers, the greatest messenger to walk this earth, the seal of prophets, is born with black spots on his heart. At the age of 4, he needed an open heart surgery to remove these black spots because he was touched by Satan. And later in his life, he could not recognize the angel that pinned him to the ground so hard that he couldn't bear it anymore. He literally physically injured my Prophet and scared him. So much so that his wife had to go ahead and explain to him what's happening, as if his wife is the Prophet and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining to his wife what's happening, and not the Prophet himself, just leaving the Prophet confused and lost with black spots on his heart. And then she takes him to her Christian cousin, who then explains everything to him, subhanAllah. And when this Christian cousin dies, the Prophet Muhammad is so lost and confused and sad that he tries to keep committing suicide. He keeps going to the top of the mountain to throw himself off of it. And also narrated by the same exact Aisha, his wife, she tells us that he was bewitched. He was affected by black magic and possessed, and he did things that he wasn't supposed to do. Is this a prophet? Peace and blessings be upon him. What is the difference between this and... This is crazier than Christianity, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's not just crazier than Christianity. This is like Talmud level stuff right here. Look, I understand that from a Sunni and Shia perspective, we have the talks of the imams and their infallibility and them being chosen, and we have political differences, right? But what is this? Like, literally, what is this? And I'm going to leave the discussion here, and I'm going to leave it up here. I'm trying to be as open as possible. I am not a biased individual. I believe what I believe because I have challenged my religion. I've challenged the Shia theology. I've challenged the Sunni theology. And when it comes to our Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him's infallibility, it looks like there's many problems within the Sunni world when it comes to our Prophet's infallibility. So much so he's suicidal. He needs his wife to direct him. Like, I guess Khadija is the Prophet, Umar is the Prophet, this Christian cousin is the Prophet. But he's just confused and lost all the time. He can't read. He's illiterate. He has a black heart and needs open heart surgery. Allah can't just purify him. Like, all of this is actually ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This just doesn't sound right. This sounds sick. It makes me sick inside when I read these things aloud. And I please, I go ahead and ask you guys, jump in these sources, look at these things yourself, question your own imams, question your own sheikhs, question your own sect, question your parents, bring these things up in your communities, talk about these things. This is very important. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for coming in. Please go ahead and comment down below your thoughts. Go ahead and open discussions. And until next time, we will have to go ahead and check out something else when it comes down to these individual things. Please, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a time of information and technology where everything is at our fingertips. Everything is at our fingertips. And the only thing that matters, that keeps us in path, is the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please do not allow hadith. Please do not allow, I don't care how sahih it is, if it came from directly from the Prophet, right? That's how sahih it is. Please be very, 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 very careful. If it does not align with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to question it. If it does not make you feel right in your heart, you need to question it. And when you go ahead and ask your sheikhs, when you go ahead and ask people about these incidences in your books, they're going to give you a very, very unclear answer. They're going to shake and tremble, and they're not going to know how to answer it, because they're going to try and defend their sect rather than defend the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And this is just ridiculous, that people, Sunni and Shia today, are defending their sect over reality. Like, what is this? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm going to stop ranting. And until next time, we will see you. Bye-bye.